With the news last week of Donald Trump's indictment on 37 felony counts related to classified documents, the eyes of the nation shifts to Miami, where prosecutors will formally arraign the former president tomorrow. Now, the left already claims the Trump-appointed judge assigned to the case, Judge Eileen Cannon of Florida's Southern District, will be sympathetic to the former president. But frankly, there are bigger questions about the charges. Were they politically motivated? Is this another example of a double standard? Now, before you run to conclusions here, when was Hillary Clinton indicted for the abuse of classified documents that were housed on a server in her bathroom? Will Joe Biden be indicted? He's had dozens, hundreds of documents in his various homes. They both had classified documents, information stored in their homes, and nothing has happened. Well, joining me now to discuss this and more is Congressman Pat Fallon. He serves on the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability, and the House Armed Services Committee represents the 4th Congressional District of Texas. Congressman Fallon, welcome back to the program. Good to see you. Hope you had a great weekend.
Oh, Tony, thank you very much. Same to you, and it's great to see you.
So first, your reaction when you learned of former President Trump's indictment last week?
Well, I think you used a great word, Tony, chilling. And it kind of reminded me of, here we go again. They are just constantly taking snipes at this fella. And it's unprecedented. And Joe Biden's administration did this. And Joe Biden was the one in 2020 that was running on return to normalcy. Remember that? And
right.
Instead, he did something that has never been done in 2.5 centuries.
I mean, and I don't want to be dismissive of anything that former President Trump may have done. I don't know. I mean, I'm only seeing what's in the press, what we've read. But I mean, there's a history, there's a pattern here of them constantly going after this president, and there does appear, and you don't have to reach to see this, but a double standard. I mean, as I mentioned, Hillary Clinton, a lot was said about the homemade server that she had that had thousands of messages that were confidential and violated the law, but nothing was done there.
I know, and Comey actually even said, the FBI said, she has violated the law. She has violated national security, but, and a big B-U-T, we don't think charges should be brought in this case. That was their recommendation to the Department of Justice. So I think it's very ironic and very telling that the exact opposite we're seeing here now.
There is a distinction between Hillary Clinton and then Vice President Joe Biden and President Trump. President Trump actually has the law on his side when it comes to the Presidential Records Act.
No, that's exactly it. The president has the authority, constitutional authority, to declassify documents, really everything except national security, atomic secrets. That's governed under another provision, and anything that may jeopardize active agents on foreign soil. Other than that, if he wants something declassified, it can be. And there's no exact outlined procedure to do that. So as long as he does it, it's declassified. The Vice President Biden at the time did not have that authority, and neither did Secretary of State Clinton. And who gets indicted? President Trump.
Has anyone alleged that this information got outside the hands of President Trump into the hands of a foreign agent?
You know what, Tony? That's a great question, because no, nobody is alleging that any national security has been compromised. Nothing has leaked out or anything of that nature. They're saying simply and merely the possession of it in a presidential home after his presidency, where he had the power to declassify it, is somehow criminal and warrants up to 400 years in prison. Is this, I don't like, is this the United States of America or is this Venezuela?
But let's juxtapose that to Hillary Clinton, who had this information not stored, in physical confines of a bathroom, but on a server that we know, even when I was at the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom there, and our work was, sensitive, but not necessarily classified. Our servers were hacked by the Chinese Communist Party because we were writing reports about China. Do you not think that China may have been targeting the Secretary of State?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's where the World Wide Web is just what it seems. Worldwide, anyone could have hacked into this, and we've got a lot of issues already with Chinese hackers and Russian hackers, Belarusian hackers, North Korean, et cetera, et al. Really, and no, you can't hack into a box unless you're physically present. And there's a secret service there, and the president has his own security. And again, he had the authority to declassify what was in the box. And this is somehow criminal at best. It should have been, well, you know what? We really demand these documents back, and they just take them back and it ends it. Not that this, I'm going to charge you and you could spend the rest of your life in prison. You want to talk
Right.
about chilling? That's the very definition of it.
And again, I don't want to prejudge the facts. I'm observing what I see and what I've seen over the last several years. So with that in mind, Congressman Fallon, there's a bigger issue here. I think that this is striking at the very foundation of our system of justice. You know, the Bible makes clear that we're not to have unequal weights and standards. Now, that's talking about economic activity, but if it's important that we not defraud individuals when it comes to economic transactions, well, the same principle of justice is in the scripture when it comes to making sure that we treat people fairly according to the established law. This really shakes the very foundation of the idea that we have equal justice for all Americans.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so exactly, Tony. I mean, if we have divided government right now, the Republicans are in charge of the House. Should we impeach Joe Biden twice, simply, out of revenge for them doing that unwarrantedly?
And you can. You have the power to do it. You have the power to do it. But is it the right thing to do?
Right, exactly, because we have discernment, and we want to go where evidence leads us. I think that Joe Biden very well, I think it's a probability, quite frankly, that he did commit impeachable offenses prior to his presidency with the compromising of national security and being bribed. That what I think and what I can prove right now are two different things. That's why we in our investigation we're only going where the evidence leads us. And every time we find evidence, we seem to find 4 or 5 more points of evidence. I mean, Tony, 3-4 months ago, we thought we could only actually prove that the Biden family had received $1 million from foreign nationals. Now we know for a fact it's at least $10 million. We can prove that. We suspect it's probably closer to 30 to 50 million. We simply can't prove that yet because we're going where evidence leads us. We were unaware of the 1023 form until a whistleblower brought it to our attention. And then lo and behold, we asked the FBI, are there more 1023s? And yes, there are. They didn't volunteer that to us. We would have known none of this if we didn't have subpoena power, if we didn't control the House, and if we didn't then threaten the FBI Director Wray with contempt of Congress.
It's interesting. Your investigation is having compounding results. The dollar amounts moving from $1 million to 10 million. I want to go back to something you said, Congressman Fallon, about discernment. And I think it's very important that it's not politically motivated. As you said, the Republicans control the House. They could impeach Joe Biden. I mean, there's enough, I think, and when you guys get finished, there may be enough there to do it. But the point is discernment in what is right. I actually spoke back, you remember in the 2016 election, the phrase lock her up. Everybody wanted Hillary Clinton to go to jail. And, when President Trump won the election, and that evidence was out there. It was about her and her misuse of classified information. I inquired about, why didn't the administration pursue it? And the issue was discernment in that it would only divide the nation and serve no greater purpose. Now, we can disagree with that, but in that particular case, the Trump administration put the nation above this one particular individual and how it might be perceived. That obviously is nothing that this administration even considers.
No, not at all. I mean, they just attack, and they don't know anything else. What Joe Biden has proven in the last 2.5 years is all he does is cater to his far left-wing base constantly. And he doesn't show much discernment at all. And quite frankly, I do think he has some impairment, cerebral impairment, and that's very unfortunate. We have to pray for him in that regard because there's a lot at stake when you're the president of the United States. In fact, the most. And that's why I think we need to all use our discernment in a year and a half when we go to the ballot box.
That's the bottom line. Congressman, we're out of time. Pat, always great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Tony. God bless.